morning. So you could make our morning brighter, and you can even make your own morning brighter, I would argue, by making the call and feeling a sense of accomplishment that you're supporting your local radio station. If you wake up to Morning Edition to get you ready for the day, if you count on the BBC NewsHour for international news, if you catch up on the big stories at the end of the day with All Things Considered, whatever way that you listen to your local public radio station, put a value on it and make the call. 888-376-9692, and we have
WNYC and Russ and Daughters is your sustaining WNYC membership and a Russ and Daughters chocolate vodka. That's right. If you become a sustaining member, our friends at Russ and Daughters will treat you to one of their world-famous vodkas. Because that's how being in the WNYC family works. You're here for us, and we're here for you in the form of in-depth conversation, vital reporting, and stories that connect us. And we're all here for a classic New York Russ and Daughters chocolate vodka. Swirled with two kinds of decadent chocolate and a hint of coffee, with a perfect balance of not too sweet cake and rich filling rolled throughout. It's the single most delicious way to support the station you care about. I mean, nobody wants to eat a tote bag. Here's how to get your vodka right now.
Call 888-376-9692 or go to WNYC.org, and for a $12 a month sustaining membership, we'll send you that vodka. It's terrific. And the whole idea of a sustaining membership is we break it down monthly, and then we can count on it, and you can split up your payments. And really, $12 a month is a great way to support your local public radio station. Call us now at 888-376-9692.
There was a Washington Post, left of center. You had 3 channels that you could watch. You had stuff coming out of Hollywood. That everything seemed, at least to those of us in the South, to be mocking of people like us. When Sarah Palin was elected,
we continued to get tested, so it ended up just being one of many tests for us.
Mad Dog.
HBCU, Sirius XM Channel 142. The connection to America's historically black colleges and universities.
Back in the early 90s, right? Like, I know it's different companies and yada yada, but like when you was a Ring of Honor World Champion, you are the worker. You are the workers' world champion. You are the best professional wrestler on the planet. And that's what that belt meant, at least to me, for many years. And kind of Jericho's put his own twist on it.
Yeah, it did.
song to a couple who I absolutely love the fact that they are back together.
Gypsy Road. That's the story of where it came.
I'm saying? Hard work will get you very far in this game. You know what I'm saying? People will
disco to beyond on Studio 54 Radio.
So me and Bobcat Ben went down town this morning for some reason. Well, for some reason. Always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love has died.
Giddy up. Go.
Rolling right out of some red Sauvignon for y'all. I am Sunny Sweetie here at Willie's Roadhouse, and people always ask me, like, what is your favorite country song? And I mean, that's honestly like asking me, you know, what my favorite kid is, which I don't have a kid, so it would be easy for me to choose that. But I have, well, I don't know. I mean, I can narrow it down, but I would say this next song is probably in my top 3 of all time. And my favorite version of it is probably the version on Waylon Jennings' live album, the last minute particularly, with the outro, the guitar licks, and just, oh my gosh, it's a lot for me. And anyway, this is a very, very close second. It's Marty Stewart singing this Waylon Jennings song this time. Here you go.
Well, this time, if you want me to come back, my skin tight blue jeans. Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look at
Starting your morning with 60 minutes.
Giovanni Post Street, with the Westminster Heavy Choir, Sunday Festival.
And hot dogs count as lunch, so I should be able to bring gummy hot dogs for lunch as well.
So it's like you, Max. I mean, just out there in a fog trying to figure out how to get things going right on the offensive side of the ball.
But see, Keith, the only thing, I never questioned Rodgers' talent, ever. Even when he's, I have questioned the leadership style. But is he, like, as a former player, if that dude,
project, which includes building a new tunnel and then repairing the current one, but construction is in the earliest stages and isn't expected to be completed for another 13 years. The MTA is drawing up plans to build a wall in the train yard that might prevent water from flooding it again, but that's still in the planning phase. For now, transit officials can only hope another major storm doesn't hit the tunnel, used by hundreds of trains every day. I asked Scholes, isn't there something more proactive they can do with increasing heavy and unpredictable storms from climate change? You guys essentially are fingers crossed it doesn't flood again.
There's only so much we can do physically to protect the existing infrastructure. It's been there since 1910, and it's obviously we're in a very dense part of the country, and it's not like we can do a whole lot physically.
Instead of building flood protections for the tunnel, Amtrak makes small repairs and fixes where it can, cleaning troughs under the tracks so water drains easier, and grouting cracks to prevent water leaking. But during Sandy, salty seawater filled the tunnel, submerging the concrete wall that holds all the electric cables, which supply 12,000 volt electricity to trains. And the salt is corrosive. This means every second of every day, it's quietly eating away at the concrete, creating small holes where water can still seep in and wreak havoc. And it does. I meet with Soto, an Amtrak substation electrician, who shows me what happens when those power cables come in contact with water. But first he hands me a new chunk of black cable, the size of a hero sandwich. It weighs about 15 pounds. It's dense and has a nice grippy feel.
neoprene, then wrapped up, and then you got the copper in the middle.
Then, Soto reaches into his bag for another cable.
There's actually more that we can do. Well, that took a hit.
If I took a hit, he means it exploded.
This is what it looks like when these things fail, right? When they explode.
It looks like a beaver took a big bite out of it. Scholl says many of the wires in the tunnel date back to the 1930s and have been spliced over the years and never caused trouble before.
And now, since Sandy, they're keeping their fingers crossed. They are failing with increasing frequency several times in the past 10 years or so.
In 2015, a series of cables exploded, delaying trains. It took weeks to repair. Scholl says the cables are in concrete, so trains aren't in danger of being hit. But this is why Amtrak needs another tunnel. They can't rely on one with frequently exploding cables. And once the new tunnel is done, Amtrak plans to spend another 3 years to fully rehab the old tunnel. They'll put in new rails and a concrete bench wall that's higher off the ground to avoid floodwater.
We were very lucky during Hurricane Sandy. We may not be as lucky next time.
That's John Picari. He was the first person in charge of coordinating the tunnel project. He's a consultant now. He says Amtrak got lucky because at least the tunnel can still be used today. Amtrak hopes once it's upgraded, it'll be good for another 100 years. But Picari warns there are many ways the tunnel could be damaged again.
And it's important to point out that the particular failure mode that flooded the tunnel during Sandy is just one vulnerability. Different types of storm events, different tidal action can result in other failures. We should all feel a sense of urgency to get the new tunnel open.
Amtrak says this is the most important project in the country. However, the urgency surrounding the project varies depending on the party in power. President Obama supported the new tunnel project, but failed to secure funding and move it forward. President Trump stalled the project during his 4 years. Now President Biden, Amtrak Joe as he was once called, has money in his infrastructure bill that's expected to partially fund the Gateway project, but it also needs the governors of New York and New Jersey to each cover a quarter of the costs as well. They've said they will, but with the midterm elections coming, the power in Washington could shift, and there might not be as much support for a $16 billion tunnel project. Still, Scholl at Amtrak says a new tunnel is the only plan to keep trains running in the Northeast.
You know, if there's nothing we can do to prevent water from coming into them, at least we can build other ones and more of them to better handle water or to have a detour around problems so that we're not so reliant on a single point of failure, right?
For now, though, that's exactly what they're doing. Stephen Nesson, WNYC News.
WNYC supporters include Guideline. Their automated 401k plans can help business owners in the tri-state area meet state retirement mandates. More at guideline.com/radio. Guideline, the small business way to 401k.
It's Morning Edition on WNYC. I'm Michael Hill, and with us today is Nancy Solomon from the WNYC Newsroom. It's WNYC's Fall Fundraiser. We do this a few times a year, raising money that keeps WNYC and the BBC and NPR and the programming coming to you. Independent public media on WNYC helps to keep democracy strong. Your monthly contribution today will help us continue to bring you the news and reporting that matter to you. So we're asking you to start a monthly gift for WNYC. Go to WNYC.org or call 888-376-9692. We're raising $8,000 by 8 o'clock this morning at 3.5 minutes away. Nancy, how are we doing?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. We now have 3,500 to go on that goal. Then we've got 4 minutes, so for those of you who are able to scurry to the phones and help us out, that would be terrific. 888-376-9692. You know, what better example of what it is that we're trying to do here is that reporting by Stephen Nesson. You know, we're taking observing, I guess is what you'd say, the 10th anniversary of Sandy by looking at all the different ways that it changed life here or what we learned from it and what it means going forward. And that was a terrific reported piece. I love the image of the beaver-eaten, water-corroded pipe and electrical cable.
I like the one about the size of the wire being like a
hoagie. Yeah. And so that's the kind of work that we're talking about here, that you support, and we just need you to support it, not just in mind and heart, but also Indeed, by giving us a call at 888-376-9692. We have a bunch of terrific thank you gifts as an incentive. Some of them actually, or at least one of them, quite delicious.
When is the right time to enjoy a legendary Russ and Daughters chocolate vodka? How about now? Which is also the right time to support WNYC. And now, for the first time ever, you can do both at the same time. When you become a sustaining member, we will send you a Russ and Daughters chocolate babka as our way of saying thanks. Be there for us as you enjoy a slice of chocolate babka during Morning Edition, or nibble on half of it during On the Media, or warm up a slab during a heated debate on the BBC NewsHour. We need your support, and everyone needs a babka, swirled with 2 kinds of decadent chocolate and a hint of coffee, with a perfect balance of not too sweet cake and rich filling rolled throughout.
All right, we're going to get some Dunkin' Donuts now.
Get your delicious babka. Sunak gains enough votes by the British Conservative ruling party, he would become the United Kingdom's first Prime Minister of color.
Sunak still faces competition. Former Defense Secretary Penny Mordaunt remains in the race, but Sunak has the backing of more than 6 times as many Conservative Party lawmakers than she does. The Sunak premiership would be history-making. A Hindu of Indian descent, he would be the first to occupy the office who was not a Christian. Sunak's potential breaking of the race barrier is not getting heavy media coverage in Britain. That's partly because it would be more evolutionary than revolutionary. Ethnic minorities have held top jobs in Conservative governments in recent years. The last 4 chancellors of the Exchequer were ethnic minorities, as well as the last 3 Home Secretaries. Frank Langford, NPR News, London.
Opening arguments begin today in the second criminal trial of Harvey Weinstein. NPR's Mandalit Del Barco reports the proceedings in Los Angeles come as the former Hollywood producer appeals the sentence that he's currently serving in New York.
Weinstein is already serving a 23-year prison sentence in New York for similar charges by a former actress and a former assistant to a TV show. And here in LA, he could face a sentence of up to 140 years in prison.
That's NPR's Mandalit Del Barco reporting. President Biden will address the Democratic National Committee today in Washington, D.C. His speech comes about 2 weeks before the midterm elections. Biden is expected to keep abortion rights in the spotlight and double down on Democratic efforts to protect reproductive freedoms. You're listening to NPR News in Washington.
And this is WNYC in New York at 8:04. Good morning, I'm Carrie Nolan. Alternate side parking rules are suspended today, but meter rules are still in effect. There's a flash flood warning in effect this morning. You can expect some minor flooding in parts of New Jersey and New York City, and that includes Newark, Jersey City, and Hoboken. Flooding could add to the problems on the subway this
Police presence is just one part of a safety strategy that also includes more surveillance cameras and more psychiatric beds for New Yorkers living with mental illness.
Here's what we're calling it. Cops, cameras, care. It's easy to remember, the 3 C's.
Hochul says the state will pay for 1,200 overtime shifts each day for NYPD and transit officers. The patrols come after a series of homicides in the subway. According to officials, 9 people have been killed in the subway system so far this year. In February, Mayor Adams and Police Commissioner Keechant Sewell announced an additional 1,000 police officers were on patrol in the subways. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. It's celebrated by thousands of Hindu, Jain, and Sikh New Yorkers. It also might be the last Diwali marked without a day off in New York City schools. Mayor Eric Adams, schools chancellor David Banks, and State Assembly member Jennifer Rajkumar are pushing state legislation that would give students a day off for the holiday for the first time. The bill plans to eliminate Brooklyn Queens Day to make room for Diwali. Adams wants the new holiday schedule to be in effect by the next school year. And while the Yankees will have to wait until next year, the Houston Astros beat them again last night, 6-5, sweeping the American League Championship Series in 4 games. Houston will open the World Series at home Friday night against the Philadelphia Phillies. It's the Astros' 4th trip to the World Series in the last 6 years. Showers this morning with a slight chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon. We'll see highs today in the lower 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight. Cloudy again tomorrow. Right now it's showering in the area and at 55 degrees.
NPR is supported by CrowdStrike,
whose cybersecurity platform is designed to protect organizations by monitoring trillions of cyber events to detect threats and prevent breaches before they happen. CrowdStrike, protection that powers you.
It's Layla Faulted from NPR's Morning Edition. The demonization of fact-based journalism is one of democracy's biggest threats. This aversion to truth has taken hold as the number of local newsrooms has dwindled, leaving reams of disinformation to fill the void. In public radio, we have a responsibility to counteract disinformation. This station is an oasis amid all the noise and fiction. Having a reporter at the school board meeting at City Hall, that is our resistance to the undermining of a free press. We resist by being there, by providing platforms for people to see themselves reflected and to see difference. We resist by building bridges and by holding people to account. We do it thanks to you. You give us the tools we need to fight attacks on truth by donating to this station. Here's how.
By calling 888-376-9692. That's 888-376-WNYC, or pledge online at WNYC.org. Your support supports the programming that we provide on WNYC, such as Morning Edition you're listening to right now. I'm your host, Michael Hill, and with us today is Nancy Solomon from the WNYC Newsroom. It's our fall fundraiser to raise money that keeps this station, its programming, and NPR and the BBC all coming to you. Independent public media on WNYC helps to keep democracy strong. Your monthly contribution today will help us to keep bringing you the news and reporting that matter to you. Our goal this hour is $12,000. $12,000. Please start a monthly gift for WNYC today, and that'll help us reach that $12,000 goal. Go to WNYC.org or call 888-376-9692. And Nancy, we have another goal, and I believe we can reach it because we have terrific listeners who value what they hear on WNYC.
That's right. We really benefit so much from the support of our listeners. It is the largest source of our funding, and it turns out it's the most reliable source, something that we learned during the pandemic when nonprofit foundation support and also sponsorship, advertising essentially, all went away, or maybe not entirely went away, but dropped off. And we relied on you, our listeners, and we know you rely on us. It's a perfect relationship, and we just, need to give you these little moments of incentive to go and make the call, whether it's the goal or the gifts that we can thank you with, or just knowing that you did your part so that others who can't afford it can listen for free, and this service is not going to go away. 888-376-9692. We have all kinds of thank you gifts, and today we've got the special one.
One of the few things that go together better than WNYC and Russ and Daughters is your sustaining WNYC membership and a Russ and Daughters chocolate babka. That's right. If you become a sustaining member, our friends at Russ and Daughters will treat you to one of their world-famous babkas. Because that's how being in the WNYC family works. You're here for us, and we're here for you in the form of in-depth conversation, vital reporting, and stories that connect us. And we're all here for a classic New York Russ and Daughters chocolate babka. Swirled with 2 kinds of decadent chocolate and a hint of coffee, with a perfect balance of not-too-sweet cake and rich filling rolled throughout. It's the single most delicious way to support the station you care about. I mean, nobody wants to eat tote bag. Here's how to get your babka right now.
Get your babka by pledging $12 a month, and we'll send you a fresh loaf of this sweet bread as our thanks by calling 888-376-9692. And Nancy, as we know, it is a delicious treat.
That's right. I'm getting some pushback, Michael, from Stephen Nesson, who is appalled that I'm suggesting people make French toast out of the babka. So I guess, to each their own. Everybody has their limits. But
maybe we need to cook it for them. Let them try it.
Exactly. But babka is a breakfast morning treat. I mean, that is what makes it different from cake. You can eat it for breakfast with your coffee or tea, and it's lovely. So give us a call, and we'll thank you with the babka. We hear from Russ and Daughter bakers that after Pledge Drive, they work super hard to keep up with those orders. So, and babkas are flying all over New York.
So we're proud that we have the support here to be able to thank you with those babkas. 888-376-9692, and thank you all so much for your support.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Layla Fulton in Washington.
And I'm A. Martinez in Los Angeles, California. In the last 2 weeks, even more schools around the country have gotten hoax calls claiming that active shooters were on their campuses. It's a continuation of a pattern that NPR has reported on, and now NPR has obtained new information that suggests this is not the first time that a scare campaign like this was conducted against U.S. schools. NPR's Odette Youssef and Jenna McLaughlin join us now. Odette, let's start with you. Remind us what's been going on.
Well, someone has been calling schools and law enforcement agencies claiming that there's an active shooter at a school. And this has been prompting what's known as a swatting response, where police and SWAT teams immediately deploy in large numbers to those locations. And when they get there, they find out that the call was a hoax. But this can be pretty terrifying for all involved. So the last time we reported on this, just over 2 weeks ago, we had counted at least 113 instances of calls that fit a particular pattern since mid-September. Now that number has reached nearly 200 across at least 28 states.
All right, so tell us about the new information. There was something like this happening before?
Yes, some local authorities have suggested that these calls echo a similar hoax from the spring. And now we've obtained information through an open records request suggesting they might be right. I want you to listen to some audio. Here's a clip from a hoax swatting call made about 4 weeks ago in Findlay, Ohio.
Police department, Teller. There's an active shooter at Findlay High School. There is an active shooter at Findlay High School. Findlay High School.
Now, I want you to listen to another call that was made 5 months earlier to the sheriff's office in Bossier Parish, Louisiana.
No, suspicious backpack has been left in the high school, Lincoln High School, number 205, suspicious backpack has been left in the high school.
Now, lots of schools and states across the country received similar false bomb alerts in the spring. And as you could hear, it sounds like the same person who's behind the swatting calls. So we obtained additional records from the investigation that the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office conducted back in April. And it's provided a really interesting snapshot of how this hoax caller operates.
They sounded exactly alike. So tell us, what is it showing?
Well, one piece of information that the Sheriff's Office obtained was a detailed call log of the phone number that had called in this false bomb alert. Captain Shannon Mack of the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office was the one conducting the investigation.
You could see that he was using a phone number specifically to call schools or dispatch to